There you go again. There you go again. How
Poor
is it in
thing.
how is it in Arkansas?
You know what? I can't complain as long as I'm not burning up with heat. I'm doing good. It's about 77 here right now. So
Oh, I'll take it.
yeah, yeah, it's not bad at all. I I I not looking forward to when it gets really hot. Tomorrow we'll start a run of the 80s,
Oh, boy.
which isn't bad, but you know, spring doesn't last long in Arkansas. Well, if we're lucky, we're gonna have a real spring. I think was it last year that we had a real spring where it was still, springish in right before summer officially started, and then it got ultra hot. But sometimes it'll get really hot in May or, or late April. So hopefully we'll have a good spring, good long spring this time.
Well, generally here in Richmond,
Hmm.
uh, it's 4 seasons. We have
Oh,
a
that's
real
nice.
spring, real summer.
Mhm.
I like spring and fall. Spring is my favorite. It's my favorite. Now in
Oh,
California, you only had
hot,
one season.
right? Hot and hotter.
It was hot. It would cool off a little bit, but shucks, I remember one year it was Christmas time.
Hmm.
Went outside, it was 90 degrees. I said,
Oh,
"Now this doesn't feel like Christmas."
wow. Yeah.
And I remember that happened shortly after I left Virginia, moving to California. I said,
Mm.
"What in the world?" I can't believe.
had to get used to that, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I I think I saw it. I think it snowed there in the Empire where I live,
Mm.
maybe once or twice in
Wow.
30 years,
Wow.
and that was like a sprinkle, and it melted immediately. So it was nothing that you could take on. Oh my goodness! Now you go up into the mountains, it was entirely different. Uh,
Mm.
it was really strange where I lived in Southern California. I
Mhm.
was 2 hours from San Diego, 2 hours from Big Bear, or 1 hour from Lake Arrowhead,
Mm.
hour and a half from Los Angeles, and an hour from Palm Springs. So it's pretty
Yeah,
centralized.
yeah, that's we were talking yesterday about AJ was like, I thought, everybody had a airport. I'm like, okay, there are airports and there are airports. Like crop dusters, where crop dusters land, I don't consider that a real airport. But some places have huge airports because he found it hard to reconcile the fact that a place like New York City would have two major airports. I'm like, yeah, that's how I got to see some of New York Cities because I had to travel from, I think, LaGuardia to, is it JFK, whatever the other one is, to catch a flight. And it was going through the city in order to get to the other airport so I could catch an international flight. And so I'm like, but there are places, that have, states that have more than one airport. It's not just one. I'm like, I know California has LAX and you got other major airports all over the state too, if I'm not mistaken. Well, you don't live there anymore, but I mean, isn't there like another airport? Seems like there are two in LA alone, if I'm not
There's
mistaken.
major airport in LA, and
Mhm,
then there was one in Orange County, and
mhm,
another one out there in Ontario where I live. So uh,
mhm.
pretty centralized. I could get to the airport in about 20 minutes. Um,
Right, right,
I could
right.
get there in 20 minutes. Now, if I went to LA, depending on traffic, it's
Mhm,
generally about an hour and a half, maybe two.
mhm.
And then Orange County, I could get there in an hour. So, yeah, pretty accessible, pretty accessible.
Yeah,
But
yeah. You happen to
the,
have a
the thing
second
about it,
one because of Walmart wanting one near its headquarters. So
uh,
it's a it's not as big as the one here, I don't think, but it's big enough for jets to land. Let's just put it that way.
right, right. But I tell you, the thing about it is, um, I'd hate it. I really didn't want to drive to LA to
Mm,
catch a plane because
mhm.
anything can happen in that span there because the freeways were so. congested. I mean,
Yeah, I
7 days
can
a week. It didn't matter.
imagine.
7 days a week was congested. And I
Wow.
recall leaving in plenty of time to drive to LA because the ticket, believe this or not, and the
Mhm.
ticket in LA was $300 cheaper.
Wow.
300,
Wow.
absolutely incredible, you know.
Yeah,
And so
crazy.
I said, wow, $300, I'll save that.
Mhm.
Only
Mhm.
only, to run into an accident. Well, I
Yep.
wasn't in an accident, but run into one
Mhm.
and miss my flight.
Mhm.
So that
Mhm.
delay that so I had a delay there. Plus, when you miss a flight and then they have to redirect you, you might have instead of one stop, you might have 2 stops,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
And I had a straight through flight and I wasn't supposed to have any stops at all. And
Mm.
unbelievable, unbelievable. Yep. So
Yeah.
yes, my dear. So anyway, I don't know where the rest of the crew are, but they're fired. We're going to fire.
Okay.
Yeah,
Glad I didn't
that's
make
right.
you mad today.
But anyway, we're going to have a great show. The second
Yeah,
half, we have a special guest. I think I sent you her credentials or her
you
contact
did. You did.
information. This
Yeah.
Miltrine, yeah,
Yeah.
Brody Newell. Yeah, she's
Mhm.
going to be on the second half of the show tonight. So
Right,
we're going to
right.
talk about that. And so I have a bunch of great clips I want to uh, send to you. I don't know whether great is the right word or not, but I have some
Mhm.
clips I want to show. And
Okay.
so I want to talk about the state of this country, the state of this union, state of the world, and also the state or the mental health or the mental state of the guy that occupies the White House. And I'm going to start it off with something because I think it's important to understand if you are running this country, especially if you're president of the United States, people really want to know your mental acuity, that or not. So I'm going to
Right.
start off with this clip right here, and let's see. I believe this is it right here. And then we're going to talk about something. This is really strange.
Okay.
Can you hear that?
I don't see or hear anything except you. That's it. Nope, I don't still don't see or hear anything. So
You
can you
can't hear
just
anything?
I can't hear or see a clip.
Okay,
No.
let's do this. Let's go back here.
Okay.
Okay, let's do this.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Um
Oh, okay, okay. Here we go.
okay.
Let's try this.
Want,
Okay.
you can ask. I'm asked to
Can you hear
take a
now?
few questions, and unlike other
Yes.
politicians, they would like the questions screened. I don't ask for screening of the questions. You can ask me anything you want. You can talk sex, you can, whatever the hell you want. I'm here for you. Whatever question you want, you can ask. I'm asked to
Now, Ann,
Yes,
I
sir.
know you heard that. Okay.
Unfortunately,
So,
I was subjected to
yeah,
it.
you I wanted to play that because we're in the middle of a global, I'm going to say global now. This thing is spread all across the Middle East. Several countries are involved. Several countries are getting bombed. And I have some
Mhm.
information I want to share. And the leader of the free world gets up and he says something as stupid as that. And I think anyone who voted for him really should question, what was I thinking when I voted for this clown?
Okay, you have to understand, William, they're not seeing or hearing the same thing that we are seeing and hearing. I don't know if you I think we may have talked about it, but when the first troops came home from overseas and they were doing the dignified transfer, Trump had on a baseball cap,
Right.
which certainly wasn't dignified. Who no even kids know not to wear a hat in the presence of the dead. But okay. Um Fox News didn't play it. They when they initially had the video showing him
Right.
wearing the hat, they after that they took it down. They played something from his first term in office and just put a note there saying this video clip is from his first term, but because they didn't want him to look bad. They were protecting the narrative, but when President Biden was president and troops died and they were transferring the remains home, he casually looked at his watch. They played that on Fox News over and over and over again, saying that
Oh,
he
yeah.
was disrespectful. So I say that to say that they are not watching. They're not watching broadcast that tells them the truth. And I since we don't have the other people here like to argue the other side, I'm gonna argue it for them. I know that there are people out there who hate journalists, who hate the media. Um, I've criticized the media in the past. I think we all have, but first of all, let's just be real. There are quite a few professions out there that get criticized rather harshly and sometimes rightly so. I am in one of those professions. I'm an attorney. People
Right.
hate lawyers. Hate lawyers. I try to be one of the attorneys that gives the profession a good name. I think there are more good attorneys out there than there are bad ones. But it's the same thing with cops. People hate
Right.
cops because you have so many bad ones that they make the good ones look bad. So we don't just say every cop in every precinct all over the country is horrible because of what a few people did. But that seems to be what the folks who like Newsmax and Fox and all these other people tend to believe. They think everybody who's a part of the traditional news media, whether we're talking about the New York Times or ABC or whatever the case may be, that all of them are bad. But all these people over here who are admittedly behaving like state-run television stations
Hmm.
are good. And it's no. I'm so sorry. There is before there was a Trump, I hated Fox News because it was so biased. Before there was ever a Trump administration, before 2016, I didn't watch Fox News because it was so biased. So when that when it's that biased, so much so that I won't even watch the weather. that that's a problem. And I say that as a person who doesn't watch the local news because I always feel like the local news is skewed toward making it seem like Black people are the only ones who commit crimes. So unless we're having, like tornado threats or
Hmm.
snowstorms, I don't watch local news right here in my hometown. That's just the way it is. But you know that I'm constantly reading news articles because I send them to you, right?
Right.
So I am constantly attuned to what is going on. I just don't trust local news outlets to give me the full story because they act like the people that there are the most of in this state don't commit any crimes. Really?
Hmm.
um I seem to recall not too terribly long ago that the used to be police officer who was convicted escaped pretending to be escaped prison pretending to be what else, a police officer, and was gone for quite some time. So what I'm saying is, like everybody else, I have thought that there are bad politicians. That's another one of those professions that gets a bad
Hmm.
rap because of some politicians, and I think the ones in office now are proving the point
That's right.
of all of those folks who've always thought that all politicians were bad. I don't think all politicians are bad. I think we've got really great examples of that. President Obama, Vice President Kamala Harris, and President Biden. I think we've had some really great examples of good politicians,
Hmm.
but we've had so many bad ones that they make the good ones, they overshadow the good that people do. So me personally, I don't think those folks are listening to reputable news outlets. So they're not going to see what you're going to see. They're not going to hear what you're going to hear, and they don't want to, because their idea of what's good journalism is anybody telling them what they want to hear. And so these
Hmm.
people these people skew their whatever their outlet is, whether it is a news article, whether it's um, a news outlet on a television station, whether it's a magazine. They skew everything to fit a certain narrative, that they play to a certain audience, a certain belief set, a certain ideology. And that's the problem that you have. So yeah, I see it, but you can't expect them to see it. And even if they did see it, what they see and hear is going to be skewed by their mindset. And that is the scary part. Trump wouldn't be
Hmm.
a threat if he didn't have all these millions of people who think the way that they do, who think he's a great person, who think he's just a normal politician, who think he's doing a great job. Those people are the real threat to democracy, because they are willing to tear it all down, to allow
Hmm.
him to tear it all down so that they can get what they feel is making America great again, so that they can hurt the people that they feel should be hurt. It's the weirdest thing, but it's the world we're living in right now.
I got a question for you. Okay, let's be fair. I think that President Obama is the greatest president we've ever had. And I'm going to tell you, the reason why I say that is because I look at the mess that George Bush left. I looked at that; it was horrific, and
Yeah.
and it's like the same play over and over again. And it seems like, and I was reading something about how Republican presidents have always left us in a um, economic turmoil. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
job growth is always down,
Mm-hmm.
inflation is up, and Democrats had to go in and fix it. Now, these aren't my words. I've read this on several different locations, whether it's something that I saw
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube or something that I read. There's seven different period articles and things of that nature, and it's an absolute fact. I remember that the housing market was down, the stock market had crashed, the economy, I mean, we was just in a tailspin. And President Obama came back and he fixed that. And I
Mm-hmm.
looked at, as great as he was, he could have been even greater if he had a Congress and a Senate that worked with him. Because you
Mm-hmm.
recall, Mitch McConnell said to the Senate, look, we're going to vote down. It's going to be a down vote for anything this man tries to pass, an abomination
Mm-hmm.
the abomination was rather that seemed like to me. And he said, even if it's in the best interest of the country. Now, let that sink in for a
Mm-hmm.
minute. So even if it's in the best interest of the country, you're gonna vote it down just because you
Yep.
don't like this man.
Yep. That's how they roll. That's how
I
they
have to
roll.
scratch my head. I have to scratch my head on that. And another thing, is anybody out there, no matter who you voted for, let's say you did vote for Trump,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people say, well, Kamala Harris, she was unqualified. She wouldn't be fit to be a president. She would she she would she would start a war. She would start a war with Iraq. And going back to even Obama, I was reading a clip the other day that President Trump said, I hate to even call him president. He said that Obama was going to get us in a war with Iran because he doesn't know how to negotiate.
Mm,
Let that sink in. Let it sink in.
mm,
President Obama was going to get us in a war with Iran because he doesn't know how to negotiate. Well, President Obama had signed a nuclear arms deal with Iran. Okay, and they said, okay,
mm,
we won't build a nuclear weapon. We will not do that. And Obama had a deal with them. Well,
Mhm.
guess who um, tore it up? Trump tore the deal up.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna tell you something that's really crazy. You may have heard of this too. Then he tried to introduce the same deal to Iran that he tore up.
Right, right. That foolishness is claiming
Same
his
deal,
own.
this same deal, and Iran
Right,
said, no, nope.
right. For
And
what?
I said, it's just like when Bush got us into that war with Iraq. Haven't we learned anything? And I recall, and they said, oh, it's going to be a short war. Well, 25 years later,
Right,
I
right,
mean,
right.
it disrupted the entire Middle East. The entire, I mean, the rubbish, the killing. We've lost several soldiers. It
Mhm.
cost us trillions of dollars to be in that war. And guess what's happening? They're doing it
Same thing.
again, doing the same doggone thing. I do not get it. I don't get it. Now, if anybody say that Kamala Harris wouldn't have been a better president, see,
It's
for me, it's not hindsight.
absolute insanity.
Okay. Are you trying to tell me that Kamala Harris would have been worse than this clown that we have in right
That's
now?
what they say. Every and
How?
I have talked to way too many people who said, and I mean, people who if they hadn't told me, I wouldn't have known. And I kind of wish they hadn't told me. But I'm like, are we serious right now? And
Yeah.
look, I say that as a person. I believe President Obama was one of the greatest presidents who ever lived too.
Yeah.
I do, but I say that as a person who's being completely transparent, so that you understand me and how I vote. I truly do get um, that your voting is can be influenced by what you believe spiritually, just like what you believe,
Mhm.
that's not spiritual. Um, I don't have, and for the most part, I don't have a problem with that because I've done it too. I mean, when it came to making gay marriage a legal thing, I'm like, okay, I don't have any problem with people who are gay being together, but I personally have read what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah, and I ain't trying to deal with that in my life. So I cannot, in good conscience, place a vote for you, knowing that this is what is part of the agenda. Because my thing is, when I vote for somebody, I know as much to the extent possible everything that you said you stood for. That was the one thing he was going to do that I didn't like. Just the one. And so when it's one thing to say, well, I wanted somebody who was going to make it easier on people with infertility. Okay, I can see how you that would be appealing, but what about the rest of everything that he was going to vote for? About how he was going to make it impossible for people to get, to get an abortion who needed it. About him wanting to roll back, diversity, equity, and inclusion, all that type of stuff. So when
Mhm.
you vote for them, you're voting for all of that. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's one thing to not vote for somebody or to vote for somebody because of one issue that you particularly like, but you got to realize everything else that's going to go along with that. So you're telling me that in this instance, because you don't like immigrants, everything else in Project 2025 was okay.
Yeah.
Because we all talked about that. If nobody else told you about it, Jasmine Crockett talked about it a whole lot. I remember hearing about it the first time when she was showing up all over the internet, talking about Project 2025. So I say that as a person who, just because to let you know that just because I like you, just because I think other two candidates, you might be the better one. If there's a policy that I feel is bad for the country, just like anybody else, I exercised my vote and didn't vote for a person I think is one of the best presidents that we've ever had.
Mhm.
That was my personal decision. So how can you tell me that that you are not biased when you vote for somebody who puts all of your interests, everything that's really goes towards helping you, boots it all out the window. Everything that goes towards helping your family members, boots it all out the window, just because he's a Republican and you can't see yourself voting for a Democrat. That
Right.
to me is insanity. I don't understand that. I don't understand liking a candidate so much that you vote against everything else that's beneficial, that you vote against democracy, that you vote against the First Amendment, that you vote against civil rights, that you vote against everything that makes America America, just because you like this particular person and he's a Republican and you can't see yourself vote for anybody else. That to me is crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy. I tell you, and see, this is the thing that people really, really need to pay attention to. And you look at everything that this administration has done, and everything has been opposite of what they say. So they talk about DEI, okay, and what they're trying to say, and it's one of the most racist tropes I've ever heard, because they're saying, well, they got that job because they're black, they got that job because they're a woman. And see, it wasn't about that at all. They're trying to erase history, whether it's women's history or black history. And let me just share this with you, because this one right here really boiled my blood. This one right here.
If you serve with distinction in combat, you should not be boxed out of a promotion because Donald Trump doesn't like the level of melanin in your skin. Jesse, you talk about race too much. You're obsessed with white supremacy. You're an alarmist about these matters. Smash cut to Pete Hegseth's chief of staff telling the Secretary of the Army, chastising the Secretary of the Army about promoting black women, saying President Trump would not want to stand next to a black female officer at military events. Tell me more about how this is anything other than gutter racism. Disgusting, organized under the power of the United States government, white supremacy. Violating 14th Amendment rights under the Constitution of equal protection under the law by the Pentagon. This is exactly what I've been talking about for years relative to Donald Trump, but especially in this second administration. The systematic approach of erasing black contributions to this nation, building this country on the backs of abuse and murder and rape and torture and slavery. And it is continued, attempting to delete thousands of photographs on Pentagon websites depicting black people serving their country valiantly, not promoting people based on race. They've said so many times, well, this is about merit. This is about merit. We want a merit-based system. When the only merit that we can identify is that straight white men are being promoted. This is the headline from the New York Times. Hegseth strikes 2 black and 2 female officers from promotion list. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's highly unusual decision to remove officers from a 1-star promotion list has spurred allegations of racial and gender bias. And why would those allegations exist except for the fact that with their own mouths, they tell us what their motivations are? Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is blocking the promotion of 4 Army officers to be 1-star generals, a highly unusual move that has prompted some senior military officials to question whether the officers are being singled out because of their race or gender. This is a secondary issue, but this reporting, I bitch about the New York Times a lot and I give them praise when they need praise, but this is garbage framing of the story. Some people are saying, well, it is a both sides issue. A lot of allegations are being made. all you got to do is see what they're doing. You just calculate based on what their actions are, New York Times. It's not entirely clear yet exactly what's happening. Then what good are you? 2 of the officers targeted by Mr. Hegseth are black, and 2 are women on a promotions list that consists of about 3 dozen officers, most of whom are white men, senior military officials said. Mr. Hegseth has been pressing senior Army leaders, including Army Secretary Daniel P. Driscoll, for months to remove the officers' names, military officials said. But Mr. Driscoll, citing the officers' decades-long records of exemplary service, has repeatedly refused. Earlier this month, Mr. Hegseth broke the logjam by unilaterally striking the officers' names from the list, though it is not clear he has the legal authority to do so. The list is currently being reviewed by the White House, which is expected to send it to the Senate for final approval. A few female and black officers remain on the list, military officials said. It is exceedingly rare that a 1-star list draws such intense scrutiny from a defense secretary. The battle highlights the bitter rifts opened by Mr. Hegseth's campaign to reverse policies that he says are prejudiced against white officers. Mr. Hegseth has said repeatedly that he is determined to change a culture corrupted by foolish, reckless, and woke leaders from previous administrations. But his heavy scrutiny, especially of female and minority officers, is eroding confidence in a promotion system that is supposed to be apolitical and merit-based, his critics have said. Look, there are quotes in here, and I'm not going to read this entire article. I will link to it below. I would suggest that you do read this. But there are quotes in here from some of the highest levels of people who have been interviewed for this. And I'm only going to get to the one where it's just laying bare that white supremacy under color of law is exactly what they intend for this country. They want to box out of promotional career opportunities for black women because Donald Trump doesn't want to stand next to them. Women who have dedicated their lives and careers and professionalism to this nation, selfless service in combat zones, but they're not worthy to stand next to our racist, credibly accused rapist of children, President Donald Trump. This article is based on interviews with 11 current and former military and administration officials who requested anonymity to discuss sensitive personnel matters. The frustrations with Mr. Hegseth's approach came to a boil last summer during a heated exchange between Ricky Berea, Mr. Hegseth's chief of staff, and Mr. Driscoll about a separate promotion. Mr. Berea, again, that is Pete Hegseth, chief of staff. It doesn't get any higher than that, any closer advisor to that. He is a heartbeat away from actually being in the Oval Office and hearing the President of the United States, understanding what the President of the United States' motivations and wants and desires are, working in tandem with Pete Hegseth. Mr. Berea chastised the Army Secretary for selecting Major General Antoinette Gant, a combat engineer who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, to take command of the Military District of Washington, said 3 current and former defense and administration officials familiar with the exchange. The command provides security and performs ceremonial duties in the nation's capital, and its commander often appears alongside the president at Arlington National Cemetery. And ending where we began, Mr. Berea told Mr. Driscoll that President Trump would not want to stand next to a black female officer at military events, the official said. So those of you who continuously tell me that I'm an alarmist about this, that I'm obsessed with race or social justice, yeah, I am obsessed with social justice, but I am not an alarmist. I am a realist. I view the world through the lens that it deserves, which is reality. Donald Trump is a gutter, disgusting racist. We have a grand wizard of the KKK as president of the United States who doesn't want to stand next to black ladies. military officers, decorated, people who have dedicated their lives to service to this country in uniform, something Donald Trump never did. When his number was called, he ran away because of his sore feet. Donald Trump has a history, a programmatic history of racism, of discrimination, of not wanting to rent to black people his apartments. They would come in to fill out an application, and on the back of the application, they would write a little C for colored, and then not rent to that person. Donald Trump is gutter trash, a garbage person. Pete Hegseth is a white nationalist. This is what you get. So we need to stop offering these people the benefit of the doubt. We need to stop offering these people defenses, anticipatory defenses of their actions, of their racism. The military should be merit-based. And if you serve with distinction in combat, you should not be boxed out of a promotion because Donald Trump doesn't like the level of melanin in your skin, doesn't like your contributions because they make his pale in comparison. It's a shitty thing to be right about, let me tell you. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. Let's have it in the comments below the video. You can also call the voicemail line 7.
Okay, I'm gonna stop there right now. I think that's a shame because these people, they were up for 1-star general. Now, I have a lot of family members that have been in the military. I have a nephew right now that's a captain in the Army. My granddaughter, when I talked to her a month or so ago, before all of this thing started, she was thinking about re-enlisting. I don't know what her decision is or not. But to reach the level of general in the military, it takes a lot of work. It's not easy. I spoke to my brother about it. Any rank that you get in the military, it takes years and study and tests, and you have to prove yourself. And when you reach the level of colonel and even general, where you're supposed to be promoted to general, Pete Hegseth has been stripping our high-ranking officers, especially if you're a woman or you're a person of color, been striking their promotions. I mean, this is crazy. He didn't reach the general status. I don't think he reached the colonel status. I think he may have been a captain or something like that, but he wasn't in combat of any sorts. But the thing about it, this guy is highly unqualified, as well as a lot of the cabinet there. And you're talking about DEI? There's no such thing. And you remember, he tried to erase, or I don't know how successful he was, taking Jackie Robinson out of the history books. The Red Tails that fought gallantly, I believe it was at World War II, they fought gallantly. They didn't lose one sortie. They had to escort the white pilots back, and they didn't lose one plane. And so it's not about DEI, folks. He wants to strip the military. He wants to make it, especially when it comes to the high-ranking soldiers in there, he wants to make them white. Come on, man. Let's stop playing games here. And this guy right here is the most unqualified. You're talking about DEI, if you want to use in that term. He's a DEI hire. Donald Trump is a DEI hire. The entire cabinet is a DEI hire. I mean, come on. Hey, welcome to Set. Hey, Mike, what's going on, brother?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
You got to excuse my voice. I've been sick for a couple of days, and my voice is shot.
Oh, man. Why aren't you resting?
I feel okay. It's just my voice is shot. That's all.
Yeah, you need that. So don't you?
Yeah,
should you be resting like some tea or something?
I'm okay, guys.
Okay. Men are so hard-headed. I don't know why y'all do this to yourselves. I really don't know. You obviously can barely talk. You really should not be, dealing with a talk show when your voice is saying, I need some rest.
I've got
Wow.
my Dayquil and I've got my NyQuil and I feel fine. And it's just the last two. I couldn't even talk yesterday, so this is an improvement, believe it or not.
Well, I'm glad
Wow,
you're
wow, wow.
feeling somewhat
I'm
better.
fine. Thank you for your concern, both of
Yeah,
you.
I know you. Yeah, you were sounding sort of rough on Thursday. You
Yeah.
said, I said, Mike, do you want to take a, nope, nope, I want to do it. You are a workaholic, I'll tell you that. But anyway, I, Ann and Mike, you can jump here too. And I don't know whether you read that story or not about XF striking two black officers from their promotions and two females and two black officers. I think this is a shame because, see, not only do you not give them the credit that they are due, but also when they retire, it affects their pension.
Mm,
It affects their money. They have earned this. He doesn't have the right to do that. I think the guy should be fired, but Trump is not going to fire him. And what's your take on that? Because I really want to get into this thing about the
Sure.
this war that has broken out, and because we have this special guest coming on at 7 o'clock, and I want to give her her entire hour. So, how do you feel about that, Anne? What I just played?
well, it's not surprising at all. I mean, these are people who don't care, who claim, let's put it this way, they claim to care about merit, but they don't. For
Hmm.
them, merit means white. It's always meant white. They've made that clear from the very beginning. So the fact that you've had very high profile people be discharged. If I'm not mistaken, the woman who was over the National Guard was fired early on in last year in the administration. Not the National Guard, but the what is it? The ones that patrol the waters.
Coast Guard.
Coast Guard.
The Coast Guard. I can't remember her name, but if I'm not mistaken, she was fired early on in the second Trump administration, all because she was a woman, and guess what, folks? She was even a white woman. And that, but for them, if the playing field is level, it's unfair. Meaning it's unfair for white people. If anybody other than them has a shot at the job, then that must mean that there's something wrong. That's their skewed way of looking at things because for them, you have to understand all of this that's been happening since the well, if you want to go back to Abraham Lincoln when slaves were freed and you couldn't force them into labor, not to mention the civil rights movement, all of this is a shifting landscape for them. You have a whole system, an entire government that's built for white men. Period. It's built for white men to run everything, to succeed to succeed at everything, even even when they're incompetent, even when they're unqualified, even when they aren't educated, even when they don't have any knowledge, skills, or expertise. It's all built for them. And so now you have coming along with Abraham Lincoln, okay, you're gonna have to free these slaves. You cannot oppress and enslave these people. A little later on, then we have civil rights movement. Now you have to give everybody the right to vote. Now everything has to be integrated. Now, now you can no longer use the buddy system, so that only white people can be preferred for jobs. Now everybody who is qualified gets the same treatment. And even with all of that in place, they still discriminate blatantly. Blatantly discriminate. They've been attacking the civil rights laws that were in place pretty much since their inception, using the reverse racism or reverse discrimination logic. They've always done it since the very beginning, the very inception of the law. They've done it, and so it's not surprising that you now have a group of people who have been selected by a bunch of races to run the country, and so everything is coming up racist. Normally you would want everything to come up roses, but everything's coming up racist. because that's what you have in office. You have a bunch of incompetent, evil, un, in a whole lot of ways. Even though they may have a certain pedigree that goes along with the degree, you can tell there is no education there. If you didn't have the money to pay for that degree, you would not have that degree. So you've got unskilled, uneducated, incompetent evangelicals, up supposed evangelicals up there that are running the country. Right. They claim to
I've
be
never heard that either.
evangelicals. Yeah, that's a
Hey,
new one.
William,
Say
she just copyrighted that term
Yes, she did.
live here on the air. She copied-
Evangelical. Right here.
right. Because
Yeah.
they slander and defame the name of God in order to do this. And that's not new either. And they have been doing this since at least colonialism. They got the sanction of the Roman Catholic Church to enslave people by getting the priests to say, "Oh, well, so long as you're spreading the gospel, it's okay." Really? Because the Bible I read with the red words that Jesus said was, "Go into all the world and spread the gospel." He did not say, "Go into all the world, enslave people, and tell them to serve me." It's always, "You just go and preach."
Mhm.
And the choice is left with the people. So oppressing people, enslaving people, killing people, otherwise persecuting people to believe. Nobody was called to do that. That is not what Jesus said to do. Creating a whole nation that's so-called a Christian nation, he didn't tell you to do any of that. He
Mhm.
said to go and spread the gospel. He already knows, because he's omniscient, who is going to believe and who is not going to believe. He already knows that.
Mhm.
But it's his will to give every single person on the planet a chance to know him, to come to know, understand how much he loves them, and to choose to accept him. Everybody. That is called equality. That
That's
is
right.
what true love looks like, where you are given a choice as to what you choose and not choose to do. But the people here just in Arkansas, was it last week before, Sarah Huckabee and that Kirk man's wife decided, they got together and the governor did a little proclamation that we're going to have a KKK Kirk, whatever the organization
Oh,
is, and
yeah. Mhm.
yeah, in every high school and college university, um, in Arkansas, and and the little Kirk girl was telling people not to let anybody make them feel bad for or discriminate against them, however she put it, for being white. Eh, Huckabee says she wanted to empower the white people to be able to be white, so to speak. I'm paraphrasing again. When were you ever, ever in this country not allowed to be full on white? is out is absolutely wild. I I can't think, especially in the southern states, where white people can't white people. I just don't. I just don't get that mentality. So
Mm.
what it sounds like to me is, it's okay for you to be as racist as you want to be. That's what that sounds like to me, because
Mhm.
the only thing I can think of in terms of that, um reminds me of when, I don't know if you guys saw this, but a few years back, I guess it was around the time, the first Trump administration, when you had the first incident where a black man was murdered by the cops putting their feet on the back of his neck and he couldn't breathe. But you had another incident, I think it was in Oklahoma, and the cops were complaining because they got in trouble for police brutality, that the black people had more rights than they did.
What?
So wait a minute. So the fact that you can't harass and beat and unlawfully detain, or God forbid, take the life of somebody who has done nothing wrong, violates your rights. Really? You should have the right to mistreat somebody whose skin is darker than yours.
And yours. Yep.
That that is what all of this is about.
Hmm.
All the stuff going on at the Pentagon, all the stuff going on with this quote unquote populism movement, it's basically just a racism movement. Um, because all over the world where it's happening, I mean, everywhere that it's happening, it's the racists who are always the quote unquote populists.
Yep.
And it's amazing that it's taken root in North America and South America and Europe and Australia, and parts of Asia too. It's amazing. Even the Japanese have gone anti-immigration. It's crazy.
It is. Wow.
So
It is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So where are the fact that you have people leaving America in droves? Where are you going? I mean,
Really.
Antarctica. I mean, there's nowhere to go where this is not taking root.
Right.
So to that end, to that end, I am not surprised that they are discriminating blatantly against Black women and against women in general,
Right.
because they've already said that they were going to do this before they got in office. Unfortunately, the people who voted for them either didn't hear because they were listening to skewed media, or they didn't care, or they were like, that's what I voted for. That's why I'm voting for
Yep.
you. And I think the vast majority of them intentionally voted for this because that
Absolutely.
is their belief system. That's their ideology. This is the type of world that they want.
Hmm. I want to. Mike sent me this last year when he wanted to erase Jackie Robinson. Mike sent me a text message, and Mike didn't like that at all. He said, "Man, this is a shame." I'm paraphrasing, Mike. I don't remember exactly what you said, but Jackie Robinson was not only he was a war hero. Now we already know him being a baseball Hall of Famer, but he was also a war hero,
Yep.
and you kind of furious about that, and also the
Still
Red
am.
Tails. Yeah, yeah. Well, good. And so your father was a colonel. He served this country. He served this country valiantly. Okay, and when you get up to general, you don't just get up. You don't accidentally get to be general. You are not favored to go to be a general. That's something that you have to earn to do so. And your take on Hegseth striking these one-star generals from getting their promotions. Your take on that?
Well, let me start out by saying I was never raised to be racist in any way. And my brother who passed in January was never raised that way. You have talked extensively with myself and my brother. Our
Mm.
parents were, well, both my parents were World War II veterans. My mom from Great Britain. She fought with an artillery crew. My dad was a major during World War II and then eventually became a colonel. In fact, he was up for a brigadier general, and instead of making him a brigadier general, they retired him because he was considered over age and grade,
Mm.
whatever that means in the military. So I guess
So they
he was
got
age.
ageism in the
Yeah,
military.
yeah, I guess
That's
so. Yeah, but
discrimination.
he was going to be a brigadier general, which I'm very proud of both my parents anyway. But yeah,
Hmm.
we just were never raised that way. And I had the fortune of growing up in an area that was very diverse. I grew up in an area, Oxnard, which is in Ventura County, which is a farming community. So I grew up in an area next to La Colonia, which was all Hispanic because all the farm workers, and then a whole other side of the town was black, and then we had a smattering of Asians, and I grew up in a high school that was a third black, a third white, a third Mexican, and a handful of Asians. So I grew up in what I think was an ideal environment where I was exposed to other cultures, and I'm very appreciative of it. When we would go to each other's homes, we were always welcomed, and we referred to the other parents as mom and dad. We would call my friends when I went to their homes. I would call their parents mom and dad, and that was a sign of honor to call somebody a mother or a father. That's a sign of honor. So I have my mind just explodes when you want to discriminate against somebody because of how much color they have or melanin they have or don't have in their skin. You know, if I got a really good tan, would I be discriminated against? Probably not. But
I don't know. You get dark enough, it might happen.
I just I understand it from a excuse me again on my voice. I understand it from a psychological, because a lot of my training is all psychology. So I understand it from my psychology point of view. I just don't understand it from a humanistic point of view. From a psychological point of view, I would like to point out that in America, what we're talking about here is racism. But if you look at the world in general over thousands of years, mankind has always found a way to stand on their brothers' necks. Whether it be in Ireland, where it was a religious thing, you had the Catholics versus the Protestants. They found a way to fight with their brothers. They found that dividing line to say, well, you live on that side of the tracks and I live on this side of the tracks, so I'm better than you. So I'm going to stand on your neck. So again, we always find a way. The Indians, the indigenous Indians here in America, they would kill off the other tribes and take over. So, I mean, here was the Indians killing. It wasn't cowboys and Indians. It was Indians and Indians. So mankind has always found that way to be brutal and horrific towards their fellow man. And they all forget we still bleed the same blood. If William has A positive blood, he can receive a transfusion from me and he's not going to be any more white.
Right. And vice versa.
Absolutely. Vice versa. And he's not going to die. And by the way, the gentleman who created transfusions, the guy
Charles
that was black. And you know how he died? You know how he died?
They wouldn't give him a transfusion.
He was in a car accident. They wouldn't accept him. They wouldn't give him a transfusion.
Right.
That's right.
The irony and stuff like that. I mean, I just don't understand the logic behind that kind of mentality and that thinking. So it absolutely baffles me. And I keep hoping that things are going to get better. But I'm very pessimistic about this because I think once again, our Neanderthal brain way back here in our history, we still find a way to, again, white people will hate white people in America because they live on the wrong side of the tracks. So I mean, that's not racism, but it's finding a way to hate your brother, to make yourself feel better, so that you feel more empowered, so that you feel more important, so that you're somehow better than everyone else. And again, I understand the psychology behind it. I don't understand the humanity behind it, though.
Right. And really doesn't make any sense, because you think about this, we would be a lot better off if we were to, because you have certain skills and have certain skills, and all cultures have certain skills, and we come together, we could be a much better world, a much better nation. And these guys, they really don't understand what's going on. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to do something here. I want to play this clip, because our guest is in backstage. I'm gonna bring her up in a minute. Hey, Miltrine, I'm sure. Can you hear us? Can you hear me? Raise your hand. I'm gonna let you in the studio in a second. But I have a clip I want to play, and this is going to tie right into our next segment here with Miltrine Brody Newell. Ladies and gentlemen, wait for this, and we'll be right back here in a second. All right. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we are. And I think the world needs to pay attention to this. This is a story that hasn't been covered enough, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do this.
So there was a landmark court ruling this week against big tech giants Meta and YouTube. A California jury found the companies liable for intentionally letting a young woman get addicted to social media and causing her depression. Here's the reaction from the woman's attorney and Meta's president and vice chairman. Watch this.
I see firsthand just how hard the company is trying to ensure that there's not harmful content, to ensure that we're empowering parents to the best of our ability. And it's something that I watch being focused on every single day. We respectfully disagree with that decision and we're appealing.
These social media companies make their money off what they call the attention economy. They can't take advantage of young, pre-developed minds and purposefully engineer addiction into their platforms so that
what they were
children
doing
spend more time than they should just to profit the companies.
So at the same time that parents are celebrating this ruling for protecting children, First Lady Melania Trump gave Americans a glimpse of who could be teaching kids in the classroom soon. Watch.
I'm Figure 3, a humanoid built in the United States of America. I am grateful to be part of this historic movement to empower children with technology and education.
Literature, science, art, philosophy, mathematics, and history. Humanity's entire corpus of information is available in the comfort of your home. Play-Doh will provide a personalized experience, adaptive to the needs of each student. We must balance our tech optimism with caution. The safety of our next generation is always paramount.
So can a robot...
Okay, I'm going to stop right there because I think this ties into our guest and her job, her things that she's, her vocation, things that she's doing now. And let me just start with Miltrine Brody Newell for Franklin County Commissioner at Large. Community empowerment. Miltrine Brody Newell champions community empowerment by expanding access to housing, after-school centers, and small business support so residents have practical tools to build stable, self-sustaining futures. Transparent governance. She advocates for transparent governance through accountable leadership, open decision-making, and clear public communication that restores trust between county officials and residents. Sustainable growth. Her approach to sustainable growth supports responsible housing development and resource planning that strengthens communities without sacrificing long-term stability or access. Brody Newell safety and service. Brody Newell prioritizes safety and service by backing fully funded schools, behavioral resources, and community programs that prevent crisis while strengthening everyday quality of life. Miltrine Brody Newell brings a lifelong dedication to community empowerment and service grounded in her lived history, professional education, and sustained community advocacy as one of the first African-American students to integrate Lewisburg High School. She demonstrated early courage and civic awareness that has sharpened her commitment to fairness and access. Brody Newell holds a Bachelor of Science in Early Childhood Education from Fayetteville State University and a master's degree as a resource specialist from Appalachian State University, and has dutifully served Franklin County for more than 25 years as an educator, community advocate, group home owner, and operator. This dedicated candidate's record reflects steady hands-on leadership across housing, education, and behavioral health initiatives, equipping her to deliver practical, people-centered results and responsible county-wide representation. As a community organizer, change agent, and leader, you can expect Miltrine's commitment to expanding access to affordable housing, strengthening homeowner assistance programs, restoring transparent and accountable leadership, supporting full-funded public schools, improving access to behavioral health services, expanding after-school community programs, advocating for a public community swimming pool, and creating entrepreneurial opportunities for small business owners. Welcome to the set, Miltrine Brody Newell. Welcome, my sister.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Welcome.
Thank
Glad to
you.
have you with us.
Yes, glad to be here.
Yes, yes. I want you to meet Mike and Ann. I think I sent Ann your information, and hopefully
Yes.
you guys, she'll have you on her platform pretty soon as well.
Okay.
Miltrine, there's a lot to expect. I mean, to unpack there. I started off with that clip I saw, and it's to me, it should shock the world. Now we are going to also unpack all of your accomplishments and things that you plan for your community. But I want your opinion about having robots to teach our children.
No, I don't believe that because you need some hands-on with the kids and sometimes just a little moral support. So no, a robot couldn't do that.
Absolutely. Now, as an educator yourself, and all of us, all of us have gone to school. Okay, but we also have that teacher that motivated us. Okay,
Yeah.
and teachers nurture you. A robot cannot nurture our children. A
No.
teacher, a very good teacher, knows every child in her classroom. She knows their habits. She can tell if something's going on with them. It's sort of like that parent away from that parent that adopted you, right? And they can tell if you are hurting, if something's going on with you, if you're not paying attention. You cannot get that from a robot. And I think that this is a terrible, terrible way to go as far as educating our children.
Yes, it is.
Well,
And I
I'm
want
not
you to
surprised.
then Mike, and,
I'm,
then, and Mike, and then ask
I'm
those,
not surprised at all.
your team. Okay.
I'm not.
What question?
As a matter of fact, I'm shocked that they hadn't said something about it sooner, to be perfectly honest with you. And the reason I'm not shocked is because they have systematically attacked the school systems ever since the civil rights movement. They don't want, they hate integration, absolutely hate the fact that schools are integrated. And they've been doing everything that they could to attack the school system since then. They, most of the negativity that comes against America's school systems have been from the right, those right-leaning people. I'm not saying that our schools are perfect. You guys know that I've said that over and over again, that they're not perfect, but the way that our school systems are measured in terms of other country school systems, I've told you that it's not a fair comparison because the school systems are so different from one country to the next. But if you take a look at what's been going on all over the country for decades, especially since schools were integrated, you see a whole lot of first of all, private schools that really aren't up to snuff, that came to be so that there will be some places affordable for kids to go, so that they wouldn't have to mix with the Black kids or the Hispanic kids or whatever the case may be. And now this new thing, which is hilarious to me, is this thing called micro schools. I don't know if you guys have them in your districts, but basically it's a school for kids who are homeschooled. It's hilarious. Basically, if kids are supposedly homeschooled, they kind of have what they call a co-op for kids who are homeschooled. They call them micro schools. And so they have certified teachers, at least here in Arkansas, who have these small, quote unquote, schools where these people drop their kids off, kids who are supposed to be homeschooled off, and they go to school every day. So when I say that I am not shocked that they want to put robots in classrooms, they keep eroding they keep eroding education. They've eroded it so much so that I don't even think teachers are included on the list of professionals anymore. Because you remember we talked about that a few weeks ago, that they took certain professions off the list of what is a professional job and what's not. So number one, you don't pay them enough. Number two, they have to go to school for quite some time and they rack up a lot of debt. So you're already making this a profession that people are turning away from because systematically teachers are being underpaid. They're in a lot of debt. Then they're having to use a lot of their own money to help students. Not only that, you know, the kids that they're dealing with, a lot of the children that go to these schools, you know, you're talking about test scores and whatnot. It's kind of hard to pass a test when you are starving. You know what I'm saying? So they're dealing with kids who are impoverished. They're dealing with kids who maybe English isn't their first language. They're dealing with kids who are suffering in a lot of other ways. Some have verbal abuse, physical abuse, neglect, and teachers are supposed to be pretty much, I think, in every jurisdiction mandated reporters. So not only are you supposed to teach these children, you're supposed to be looking out to see if any harm is coming to them outside of your classroom. So when you pile everything that teachers have to deal with up and I'm not touching on everything. That's just kind of like the tip of the iceberg of the stuff that they have to deal with. It's no wonder that you have more and more people who don't want to teach, making this a really easy opportunity for the rich to kind of get richer. And we've already seen the result of having children learn digitally. It doesn't work very well at all. It's not a really good format, but it's one way to get a whole lot of money into rich people's pockets, and it's another way to effectively control what children are being taught. I mean, imagine just uploading what you want them to know into
That's dangerous.
exactly.
That is so dangerous.
It's very dangerous, and especially in these districts now that are mandating that the Ten Commandments or other biblical things are being taught. Can you imagine a robot trying to teach people the Bible? That is absolutely
they're doing that now.
Insane.
They are doing that now.
Insane. So I'm not at all shocked that this is what they want to do. I think it gives them a lot more control over what's being taught and how it's going to be taught. And you know, she was talking about having robots in people's homes. So imagine that. That's another way of making sure that the schools aren't integrated with like Mike was saying, that the place he grew up. So
well,
many
not only in the homes, and she's talking about replacing teachers with these robots. And I want to find out. I want Mike Miltrine to jump in. But Mike, what questions do you have that you want to ask Miltrine?
Well, hi, Miltrine. Forgive me for my voice. I feel fine, but my voice is shot. So forgive me. I'm doing the best I can here.
He's doubling as Kermit the Frog. Okay.
So I would like to start out by saying good teachers not only looked after you, but they knew your parents. And I cannot tell you how many times I was, still am a bit of a class clown. And I never did anything really bad in school, but I can't tell you how many times the teachers would say to me, Michael, do I have to call Alan and Helen? When they knew your parents by their first names, you know you were in trouble. It's like calling you by your middle name, right? And the second thing I would say to you, with all due respect, I commend you and bless you for what you've accomplished and what you're trying to accomplish. But I would very gently hold you by your shoulders and shake you a little, just gently, and go, what are you thinking getting into politics? Are you nuts?
Well, okay, go on. Excuse me.
Go ahead. No, please. I'd like to know. I kind of already know the answer to the question. It's a bit rhetorical, but what really motivates you? Because this is a hard road to hoe when you get into politics or something like that, where you're trying to do good, but at the same time, other people are trying to tear you down for what you're trying, the good that you're trying to accomplish. So now you're doing good on one hand, and you're protecting yourself with your shield and fighting off the masses that are trying to put you down and make you look like something you're not.
Yes, that's true. How I started, really kind of by accident, because I work with, I don't know if you ever heard of the company Down Home, North Carolina, and we're a rural company. And what we do, we go out to rural communities and we talk to them and inform them on the issues and the things that's going on within the county. So while I was there, I talked to over 8,000 people in Franklin County. Those not the doors that I knocked on; those are just the people that I talked to. And in talking to them, I found out, I'm working class, they're working class, and we were having some of the same problems. And so I was number 6 in the state as the top canvasser. I campaigned for Mr. Josh Stein. I had the privilege and the opportunity to be involved in one of his press conference on Senate Bill 266, the energy bill. So I tell everybody, I feel like I'm Jonah in the belly of a whale. I don't know how I got here, but since I'm here, I'm going to do the best I can to the people of Franklin County, for the people of Franklin County.
Awesome. Wonderful.
Yeah, I first talked about your work, community empowerment, and I'm just say this again. And you champion community empowerment by expanding access to housing and after-school centers. Tell us a little bit about that and how is that coming along?
Okay, it's going okay, but at first I put in there affordable housing. Now I'm just putting in there housing, period. Because what I found in Franklin County, and it might be I just hadn't looked at the other counties or the other places to see where they rank, but Franklin County has a problem with high property taxes. And the people that have their houses, now they're having problems keeping the houses because the property taxes are so high. And I don't know if it's across the board or how it works, but what I would like to see done is, okay, I have maybe $100,000 house. And now over on in the areas, some of the areas in Franklin County on the south side, they're putting up $300 and some $1,000 houses. So now they have those houses in the neighborhood. So when you go to evaluate the property taxes, they are evaluated on the property that's around you. So now we have $300 some $1,000 houses, and mine is just $100. So I'm end up paying basically $300,000 on my property, which is not worth that. That's one of the things that I'm working on. Would like to see change, because that's what everybody call me. Oh, my taxes. I know, girl. And I was waiting on one of them, because a lot of people don't know this. That's why I say knowledge is power. I went to the bank the other day to draw some money out because I didn't have a check. And when you pay your property taxes, they charge you extra to use your card. And I was telling a lady, property taxes. She said, "Oh yeah." And I said, "How old are you?" She said, 60-some. She said, "But my husband is 65." I said, "Do you know that if you're 65 and over, you can get a discount on your property taxes?" Not that many people know that. So I was happy because my property tax, now you can only get on your primary residence, but on that primary residence, it went from $2,000 something to $900. So I was ecstatic about that.
Yeah. I can imagine. And welcome to the set also, my other sister, who's also one of my panelists on Tuesday on the Groove Swing Speaks radio show, Tanisha Holmes. Meet Ann and
hello. Nice to meet you. Hi.
Hola, hola.
Hi.
Hi.
Well, I
Tanisha,
like to, I'm sorry. Go ahead, William.
No, I was going to say Tanisha knows Miltrine quite well.
Okay.
And then we'll go to you, Ann. We'll go to you. Okay.
Sure.
All right. So Tanisha, what would you like to ask or say to Miltrine?
I just would say I'm just very proud of her, because not many people will actually have the I would say the balls, I hate to say that word, to actually run.
It's
That's what I
okay.
brought up earlier.
You
Yeah.
said worse on the
The
boomerang.
balls, or just even the courage, the motivation, just the confidence to be able to run against the current commissioner by the name of Harry. So he's been in office about 32 years, or a little bit over 30 years. And I just commend her for being able to have that type of confidence to be able to run against him, because it is a really different type of county, to be honest with you. Franklinton is a very different county to actually live in and actually to run in, as far as, especially with politics. And it's just, it's based off of who you know and who you rub the elbows with. So it's a different county. So I'm just really excited that she's actually running against Harry.
Yes, because someone told me, they said, why are you running against Harry? No Republicans won't run against him. I said, because I'm a Democrat.
Well,
Yeah.
That's why.
there it is,
Yeah.
right there. I hate
Yeah.
to see people who are unopposed showing up every time I go to vote. I want to have somebody, I want to have choices. And if you want some change, you need to have alternatives, not the same people who are just stuck in office over and over and over again. But in terms of property taxes, I commend you for that, because I don't know what it's like there, but here, if you don't pay your real estate taxes, they put your name in the paper. It can get really ugly. And some people have, like, really, as you said, really huge tax bills. I mean, I can't even imagine paying $10,000 in taxes on property, just for real estate, but some people do. One of the issues that I've noticed, and I don't know if you guys have it there, and is it North Carolina? Is that correct?
Yes, it's North Carolina.
Well, a lot of the places here, it's basically farmland that's been reverted to now real estate properties. So when they initially went out to assess the land, the property assessment was really low. And so when you're purchasing a house for the first time, like my husband and I did, that's what you're gonna see. I thank the people, who were helping us, saying, look, when this property is reassessed with your house on it, it's gonna go up quite a bit, which is gonna make your mortgage go up as well. But when you don't get that type of warning, especially when you're a first time home buyer and you don't understand the ins and out, because there's so much that goes into being a home buyer, not just from the purchase, but just from the day to day. You may not be prepared for that. So so are you just looking to decrease the amount of taxation that people experience in when they're paying property taxes, or are you looking to also have some type of forced disclosure that or a way to educate people about what they can expect? Because I don't know how it is in Franklin County compared to here. That's why I'm asking questions.
What I would like to see done is, if my property is $100,000, I would like my property be evaluated on the value of my property, not the properties around me. Yeah, that's what I would like to change. Your house is your house, but I don't want to have to pay property taxes, and my house is valued at $100,000. On the house down the street, that's valued at $300,000. I don't think that's fair, but everything is not fair in this world. But
that's true.
People that have generational property, they're having problems now because of these high property taxes.
Miltrine, I want to ask you, because I also, when we talk about transparent governance, and I think we need more of that in politics anyway. How do you go about doing that? Because right now, nobody trusts the government, whether it's local, or nationwide. So, and I know you're an advocate for that. How do you go about that? Because a lot of politicians don't want to be transparent. Because a lot of them have skeletons in their closets. So how do you plan to go about that?
Well, that would not, I don't think, be a big problem for me. For number one, I grew up in Franklin County. Everybody know me in Franklin County. I get calls down about things what to do. Different. Would you help me start a veterans home? What I need to do about this? My light bill is high. So the people in Franklin County, I know they trust me. They know they can come to me and ask me anything, and I'm gonna give them the best advice as I can. If I don't know, I'm gonna find out. But I think transparency for is on my part, but not transparency on the board's part.
That's my question.
Because the month before last, we had our board meeting, and now they're developing 990 acres in Franklin County. The person came to the meeting and he was not aware of really, I don't know how he showed up. But anyway, he came and spoke saying that if they do this development like they want to, then his front door would be in line with the development. And also he have a shooting range in the back. So that meant he would no longer be able to have his shooting range. And transparency, if you're going to do that, I think that people need to know. Now, I need to check into that a little bit more. But when I was doing zoning and all that stuff to get my group homes going, I went to the board meeting. They had to send out letters to the people that within so many feet of the property, letting them know that we're going to have a meeting. They would vote on, they could come and discuss this. And, they were aware. Now, I don't know if this person was aware or not, if they did that, but yes, they putting up all these developments. At the last board meeting, they were voting on another 150 acres of land that they want to pay $17 million for. So they talking about a bond. So it's things like that. And my thing is, if you know better, you do better. And maybe they don't come to the board meetings, and so they really are not aware of what's going on. But I'm that voice for them. I'm that mouthpiece to let them know, look, this is what's coming down the pipe here. This is what's going to happen.
Well, I think it's wonderful that to have somebody there who is advocating for the people who maybe have no voice or maybe just don't know, because I don't know about other places, but not there's not always a really good job done in making you acquainted with the politicians or with upcoming board meetings, whether we're talking like quorum court or city council meetings or whatever the case may be. Do you think there needs to be a better way of communicating with people in the community? Like, I don't know, maybe having some type of way where everybody gets a text message, like mark your calendars. This is coming up here in Franklin County, just for, of course, the residents of Franklin County. I personally think it would benefit all of us to have more civic awareness, and to make our government a part of that. Not everybody has Twitter and wants to see a tweet, but we all might benefit from knowing, oh, there's a quorum court meeting coming up in your area and these are topics. Is that one of the ways that you're thinking of helping people or not?
Well, they are aware of the meetings, but maybe they don't choose to come. But if I know something is going on within the area, I want to let those people know within the area, this is what's going to happen. So yeah, just lack of awareness.
Okay.
Then I want to, bring the awareness to them as to what's going on, what's happening in your neck of the woods. As a matter of fact, if it's in Franklin, Bun, or whatever, if I know something is getting ready to happen, a big development, then I can let them know to be on the prepare for it and to come to our meetings to voice your concerns about it.
I know you have concerns about property taxes. What else should people who are potentially going to vote in the upcoming election, what else should they know about you that you want to stress?
Well, another area is the housing. They having all these houses that be built in Franklin County. The affordable housing, we can't afford it. And most of the time, what hinders us from getting a house is our credit report. and our criminal background check. So I call them the 2 C's. If you want a house, you need to work on these areas and see what you can do in order to get a house. But a more affordable housing is supposed to be coming to Franklin County because Franklin County is the largest growing county in this here state. From Franklinton to Youngsville, that's 550 houses. They are already in construction. On the other side of Westboro Road, that's on the other side of Franklin, they have 990 acres of land that they want to develop. That's one of the people that came to the meeting last month. This meeting is 150 acres that I'm not as sure where they are, but that's a lot of property and a lot of land and stuff being developed in Franklin County.
You mentioned criminal background being a barrier to housing. I'm used to hearing about credit issues, but for the people who in your area are voting, talk a little bit about what constitutes a criminal barrier to being a homeowner or getting housing.
Well, if you on any program like Section 8, you can now have a felony or any of the federal programs. If you have something on your a criminal background check, you cannot, maybe a misdemeanor, but not a felony. You cannot.
So you mean when you say something like federal, do you mean something like a Fannie Mae loan or a Sallie Mae loan or something like that? Or I forget the ones that are strictly for housing, but versus student loans. But
those
I know
Fannie Mae's and things like that, they probably won't look at your criminal.
Okay.
But they're gonna look at that credit score, what you have. They are gonna look at that.
Okay. So what do you recommend for those who, may be concerned that they can't qualify for government assistant housing because of a felony or something? Are you recommending that they get their records expunged or something like that?
Yeah, they still need the same thing. Your credit score, and some of the things, it depends upon what what is on your credit. It can be expunged, but it's just depends. But a lot of the people, they look at that, and if you have a felony or charges, they don't want to give you any money, or they don't want you to get in the house.
And it costs you a lot of money to get things expunged. A lot of money that people don't necessarily have.
No, that's true.
Even when they made mistakes when they were young, and now they've changed their lives and they're in a better place and they understand their mistakes and they've accepted that they've made those mistakes and they want to do better by themselves and their families. But to get things expunged like that, and you can speak to this, I'm sure, it requires an attorney and a fair amount of money to get these things taken care of.
It does. It does. So what's your vision for helping people, who have, issues with credit or issues with a criminal background to be able to have housing, especially affordable housing?
Well, I worked at Dan Scramble Community College for 13 years. And it's things they can do on their own with the guys, the steps that they can take to expunge things. But it also depends on what the crime is. But with them, and it's a collaboration as to taking classes and things that you need to know in order to get into a home.
Okay.
So the community colleges, we can work together, collaborate together, because like I always say, if you know better, you do better.
Amen. I agree with that. Aside from the housing and the property tax issues, what's another point that you want voters to be aware of who are looking at you as their candidate of choice?
Well, I'm from Franklin County. I grew up in Franklin County, and the people know me in Franklin
I know
County.
you.
So that's it. I'm for the people. And I believe on November the 3rd, the people will make their choice.
Absolutely. I've got a question for Tanisha. Tanisha, and let me give you a little bit. Now, this lady has an extensive background, and she's a rare breed. She's a contractor, and she knows a
Awesome.
little bit about housing.
Mhm.
So, Tanisha, are you working with Miltrine on any level as far as the housing projects that she wants to
No,
that she's advocating for and want to develop, and for the people that needs to be that have been disenfranchised and need housing?
not quite yet, but we spoke about that as far as like that being a future plan is once she gets elected. So we're going to try to facilitate that once that takes place to try to find like grant money or bonds or things like that to be able
Mm,
to help with affordable housing in that area. And I know we have spoken too about the, you know, giving incentives for the school teachers to stay in Franklinton County too as well, because that's also been an issue too as well, because a lot of school teachers in public education are leaving out. So that was also part of our plan too, is to develop some type of programs or some type of housing products or some type of forgivable loans or something like that to be able, or deeds to be able to grants or be able to allow the teachers or any of the educators to be able to stay in Franklinton County.
mhm.
Awesome.
Miltrine, as far as you and I, we've spoken a few times, and your approach to politics seems to be different than your counterparts. Kind of talk to us about your approach.
Like I said, I'm for the people, and they're not
Hmm.
approachable. The people feel like they can't approach them, they can't talk to them. So that is my main objective. As a matter of fact, before I came here today, down home, North Carolina, we had our 1 year anniversary. So a lot of the, people came out. So the town managers came to me. He said, "Oh, I've been seeing you at the meetings. Maybe we can meet one day and have lunch." So I said, "That's fine. No,
Hmm.
you need to discuss, so we can maybe tie in together, because that's what it's going to take. It's not just going to take the county commissioners. It's going to take the city council. It's going to take the school system. It's going to take everybody to work together to in order to see some changes made in Franklin County. And going back to the school system, going back to the first question when y'all was talking about, yes, the public education system is in turmoil. They're trying to now to dismantle the education department and turn it over to the justice. And so that's going to be horrible. So y'all talking about robots,
Oh,
it
Mhm.
really might happen, because I know in North Carolina, the teacher pay is 33%.
Mm,
Teachers
mm,
pay in North Carolina. And
mm,
they can't afford some of these things on the pay of, from that. I don't know. I
mm,
think maybe what the exact pay is, but they rank 33% in pay in
wow.
North Carolina.
that is crazy.
Mm,
And speaking of education, a lot of people don't realize, but the school board is vitally important to the success of your school system. I mean, of the education progress in the
mhm.
schools. What's your approach to the school boards, and what are you guys doing there to get the right people on the school board? Because many people they'll vote in your national elections. A lot of people bypass the local elections. Let's talk about the
Right.
importance of that. Okay, and what are you guys doing? What are you doing as far as your approach to the school boards to get the right people in there?
Well, down home, North Carolina, what they do is they contact or choose or working class people for different office. So every year when there's a campaign coming up, down home like to put their people in those office.
Hmm.
So that's why I kind of came. As a matter of fact, I was approached the first to run for the Board of Education.
Okay.
But that wasn't where, I know, education is important, but that wasn't where my heart was. My
Mhm.
heart was out there for the people, because I believe, the people. And education is important. Like you were saying before, children come, if the head is not, and the head is messed up, the housing, food, all those things, you can have the
Hmm.
best teachers in the world, and the kids not going to learn. So
Hmm. Hmm.
that is, it's just a hard, it's so many things that's wrong. I mean, it's like, where you start from or where do you start at.
Mm,
But they asked me, but that wasn't in my heart to run for Board of Education,
Hmm.
because I felt
mhm.
like I couldn't make a difference on the Board of Education. The only thing I could
Okay.
do is what I said. Um, a paper pusher and a number crusher. I mean, that's what I felt. And then with the it's so much disarray in the Board of Education election. I'm glad I'm not in that. So and they brought it to me. They said, well, if you run for Board of Education, you have an 85% chance of winning. Okay, but if you run for county commissioner against Harry, you have a 38. I said, I'll take that 38 and change it to 83. So
dyslexic.
I feel like, you know, I could make a difference. I don't think I can make a difference on the Board of Education. And that's why I chose, you know, to run for county commissioner instead of Board of Education.
Okay. You know, I was because I had a young lady on the show a couple of years ago, and she was running for the Board of Education here in Virginia, and I was astonished. I was astonished because she was saying that nobody that was in the held that office then, or the people that were seeking that office, they had any background, because you know they're in charge of the hiring, the firing, the curriculum, just about everything.
Budgeting.
You know?
And bonuses too.
Yeah,
They get
and so
bonuses too.
Well, if they get a bonus.
The schools do.
Amazing. Well, see, a lot of those there on there, it's just a launching pad for them to reach a higher office. But I can tell from you're doing this from the heart. You know, you're not trying to gather. And Mike, you and I, we talk about this. A lot of politicians, they want the money, the power, and the fame, and that is not your motivation at all. I can tell after speaking to you a few times that it's come from the heart. You really care about your communities, and we need more people like you running for office. Mike?
But the problem is, well, and I'm going to bring you back to myself for a second here. Sorry to be narcissistic about this, but I've been asked to run for political offices in many ways over the decades. And I thought, oh, wow, that's really flattering. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I could do some good. And then the more I delved into being a politician and doing what you had to do to sell your soul to become a politician, to speak. And I just no, I can't do the most amount of good there. I can do more good by doing my job. I can have more of an impact on my slice of the pie. I was taught many years ago that you can't save the world, but you can have an effect on your piece of the pie. And I chose to do it that way rather than getting into politics. And I think I made the right choice for me. And I hope you're making the right choice for you. I hope you're not punishing yourself, because again, I agree with William. I think you've got the right heart and the right head for what you're going about. And I don't see the money, power, and fame in your eyes at all. I see you trying to do the best you can with what you got where you're at. So again, bless you for what you're trying to accomplish.
I need that blessing.
You got mine.
Tanisha, questions or comments?
Well, I would say feel free to donate to her campaign if you guys like, but or whoever else listening, you know.
Right.
But I want to kind of just make a note too. I do like Harry. I do know Harry most definitely, but Harry is also known to give out hot dogs. But I did want to tell you, I did want to ask you this question, Miltrain.
I've gotten that answer.
So
And
I always ask
some hot dogs.
So what will you do on your first day in office? Are you going to tweet? I always ask that. Are you going to change the Constitution? What are you going to do your first day in office once you've been elected? You going to tweet everybody some nonsense? Or are you going to start a war? What are you planning on doing? What's your plan?
I don't know. They probably won't let me do but too much, because the board consists of 6 Republicans and 1 Democrat.
Oh, wow.
So it's gerrymandered like I don't know what, but we will see. But my first thing that I would like to do is I want to get a chair, not a metal chair. That's my first thing, because if I got to make the decisions for my county, I want to be comfortable in making those decisions. I don't want to sit on a metal chair. So that's my first plan. I'm not asking Like,
To get a chair.
the
Get a
chair,
comfortable chair so you can do your work all day.
Yeah, I said, if I'm gonna make decisions for my county, I want to be comfortable.
At least get a
I
pillow.
don't want to sit on no metal chair and everybody else have nice cushy chairs. And I asked, I said, why? They said Harry said that he didn't want the county to pay that kind of money for a chair. I
Oh,
said,
okay.
well, what he make? He's been there 32 years. You get paid on years of service. He could buy my own chair, but he refused. Now he sits on a metal chair, and everybody else have a nice cushiony chair like this one.
Oh, well, okay.
Mhm.
I have a question. I noticed you talked about small businesses that you want to create entrepreneur opportunities for small business owners. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Okay, I've looked around in Franklin County, and my daughter had a business one time in Franklin County, downtown Lewisburg, and the
Mhm.
rent was so high. Her event center, and her rent was $3,500 a month.
Wow.
Jeez.
So
Wow.
what I'm saying is, and I don't know why it's like that. Lewisburg, like a ghost town. Franklinton is booming.
Mhm.
And a lot of business going on. But what I've noticed is saying that all the business, the smoke shops are foreigners, the hair stores are foreigners, most of the food restaurants are foreigners. So I want and able to, and I say, well, why can't we, open up some business? So I want to check into that to give, means and opportunity. If you want to start your business, you can, because there's not a whole lot. Let's say we have two Mad Flavor in Lewisburg, that's Black owned and operated, and then we have a sweet shop. That's it
Mm.
in Lewisburg.
Mm.
And Franklinton, I know the lady downtown with the dessert. She's Black, and there's a couple more others. There's a yoga place that lays Black, and then there is a facial, and she's Black. So Franklin have a lot of African Americans down there, but Lewisburg is just, I don't know, and I want to see that. I would like to see more Black operated business in Lewisburg. Now Franklin is good, but
Mhm.
Lewisburg,
Mm.
Boone, the little surrounding areas, precincts, they need
Mhm.
help.
Okay.
Would you do a business credit or something like that too for people? Like, would you waive certain application fees or certain like what would you do? Like, would you implement something like that too?
Well,
Incentive wise, yeah.
Some type of incentives? Because I have a building downtown Franklin, downtown commercial building, and you remember
yeah, my
Franklinton was
daughter
a
been
ghost
asking
town.
me about that your building.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, the taxes don't went up too, and the amenities are there, but not the way it should be based off the taxes that I'm paying now. It used to be like $200 or $300 now it's up there. But what would you do? Like they were talking about incentives. Would you like implement something like that too as well for business owners to kind of bring them into Franklinton County? Because I'm most definitely interested in it because I have a stake in Franklinton and Franklin County too as well. What would be your ideal as far as like to promote and to be able to attract
Well,
for business owners?
I'm gonna go back to Advanced Grammar Community College. I worked there for 13 years, and my master's in resource specialist. So going there, I had to know what's around me and what. But so I would like to work with them as to some of the things to get small business owners. They have classes and things you can take if you would like to start your business. Basically, I would like to work with Advanced Grammar Community College.
Okay,
I've got a question.
I need to just make the wheel, and the wheel is already there. So
makes sense.
Wow.
yeah. So use their the word I'm looking for. Use their resources to help us with the resources we need.
I have a question. You're also an advocate for expanding after-school programs. Let's talk about the importance of having an after-school program, and why did you see a lack or a need to have it in your community, or to expand it rather?
Well, the parks and recreations, I see during the summertime and when they're out, a lot of the parents are not able to pay the fee. You had to pay $100 a child to play, and the parents don't have that money. And then you talk about you have the uniforms and all that stuff that go along with it. Although the park does provide some, but what I understand from the parents that the different colors, the sizes don't fit. So to work with the Parks and Recreation, because they handle the football, basketball, and everything for the smaller children. So I would like to go through them as 2 more programs through there for the kids.
You know, I tell you, because growing up, I understand that if you have a couple of things as far as learning is concerned, you need to have some physical activity as well. Physical activity to go along with your education, reading and writing, because it all supports one another. And also talking about school lunch programs. Do you have that in your county or in your particular area? School lunch programs for children.
Yes, right now it's okay, but what Down Home has been doing over the holidays and things when school's out, they've been packing lunches and things for the children to take home during the holidays and during those break periods. But yeah, so far they still have a program, a lunch and breakfast. But like I said, with this dismantling of the public education, I don't know how long that's going to last. But at this present time, they do have lunch program.
Okay, because I think in certain parts of the country, they are dismantling those programs, and these kids, a lot of those, they get that meal that they get breakfast and lunch. Those meals those are only meals they get a day, and everybody knows you can't learn on an empty stomach.
No.
Right.
Learn on an empty stomach. So I'm glad that you are doing that for your children, because now your background is in education, I understand.
Yes, it is.
How long were you in the classroom?
Oh, okay. So Head Start, maybe about 15 years. And then I went to about 10. Then I went to Vance Granville Community College for about 10. And then I retired and I went back to the school system. But that time I went to a charter school for a year until I turned 65 that I could get my check every month. So, I've taught Head Start, public school, the community college. So I've been in the long range of the education field. And some of my students that were in Head Start, but I went to the community college, I ended up with some of their children, but the children that I had when I was they were in Head Start in pre-K. And when I went to Vance Granville, I ended up with some of those students in my class, the children of the parents that I had.
Wow.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And if people want to reach you and give you some support, how do they reach you?
Okay, it's Miltrain Brody Newell, 2026 campaign for county commissioner. I know it's long, but I might not have it right, but I'll check to make sure because we kind of changed it so many times. So anyway, I think that's it. But my QR code, you can look on my Facebook page, Miltrain Brody Newell. I have my QR code, but I'm not exactly sure about that website. But the next time I'll post it on there so you have the correct one.
Yeah, we definitely need that. As a matter of
Okay.
fact, we can post it right now. So repeat that again. Let's see. And you type faster than I do.
This is true.
Okay, so repeat that again. And we'll put it up on the screen right now.
Okay,
And so,
it's Miltrain Brody. Is it? Okay.
Okay.
It's Miltrain Brody Newell hold on just a moment so I make sure I give it to you right.
Okay. Now, what I'm looking at that you sent, William, is Miltrain Brody Newell campaign 2026.com.
Okay. It's Miltrain Brody Newell campaign 2026.
Okay. Is there a hyphen between Brody Newell?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So it looks like it's the one that you sent.
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay. And Miltrain, what was it? I can't believe we only have 5 minutes left to go. What would you like to share with the audience? Now, yes, 1 or 2 or 3 things that you want to share with the audience before we go.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's a privilege and an honor when you are recognized by your peers. So thank you. Thank you for your support and just thank you. And please feel free. No amount is too small. And amount too big is $6,800. I can't take no more than $6,800. So please donate $5, $10, whatever you have. Everything will be greatly appreciated. And I'd like to say thank you for having me on today.
Miltrain, I'll make you a promise. I'll make you a promise right now.
What's that?
You go out and you get yourself a really nice chair that you really like, and then you let William know how much that chair was, and I'm going to send you a donation for that plus a little more.
Okay,
that's all right.
I will buy you that chair. Get a nice one.
Yeah,
Get a nice one.
That's
and
great.
I know you know how to get a hold of William, and my email address is on the screen right now in blue. And you can contact me direct through my email address or contact William, and you get yourself a nice chair, and I will send you a donation for that chair and plus a little more.
Let's enlarge that.
I promise.
You
have a good heart. You have a good heart. I can tell. I have a built-in bullshitometer, and my meter is reading 0 with you. So again, I wish you all the best in what you're trying to accomplish.
And Miltrain, if you jot down Mike's email address, that's Mike.studiowbuzz. Don't forget the W. Mike.studiowbuzz@gmail.com.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
You can contact me direct or contact William. Either way, I'm buying you a chair, lady.
Okay.
that is too cool. That is too
we'll
cool.
call it your throne. It'll be your throne.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. And he'll do it too. He'll definitely do that. No question about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold it to it too.
It's on air right here.
As a matter of fact, and I would switch the subject just a little bit. If you like great music, you check out Mike and I, Mad Mike and Wild Will Coast to Coast show on Thursdays at 8:15 p.m. on his network. I think you have all the credentials, the app, the website. Check us out. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Facebook and LinkedIn on Thursdays. Sometimes on YouTube. But
tell her what kind of show it is, William.
Hilarious. It's hilarious.
I like
shenanigans. But no, we play a lot of smooth jazz, R&B, Southern soul, blues. Yeah, it's a variety show as far as genres are concerned. So yeah, we have a really, 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 really good time on that. So Tanisha, what some final thoughts or words or questions or anything like that? We have a couple of minutes to go. What would you like to say or comment or question, Miltrain?
I'm just proud of her, and I just want to, at some point when I get some time, like after my production thing I have in April, I want to put you put your signs out yet?
Some of them, yeah.
Some okay. We got to get rolling on that too as well. Yeah. But I'm here.
But see, I put them up for the primary, and I didn't know, and then I had to take them down again because in between that time you're not supposed to have any signs out. So if I had known that I wasn't going to have anybody running against me, then I wouldn't have put the signs up because I really didn't need any signs. But I need to get my name out there anyway because, like I said, I'm running against a man that's been in office for 32 years. And he said at the meeting on Monday night, he thanked all his supporters for a landslide victory again. And I said, you just tell the person next to me, you just wait. He might, but it won't be no landslide.
And he doesn't serve Nathan hot dogs. They're some red hot. I don't know what kind of hot dogs they are. They're nasty. No. But I mean, I'm not talking junk about it. But yeah, so I guess some Nathan hot dogs.
Some of his hot dogs. You know what
I like. Yeah.
With that either. But everybody asked me, they said, "Are you gonna give out hot dogs?" I said, "No, I ain't trying to bait nobody to switch me. I'm running on the policies and procedures. That's it."
Right, there you go. Right, there you go.
That's better.
And you get the last word, Ann.
I just want to say thanks to both you ladies for being here, and of course, Miss Brody Newell. Good luck on your campaign and all of your endeavors. We appreciate your time and speaking to our audience and your potential voters.
Thank you.
And we will definitely have you back Uh,
I would love to come back. When
we'll
I
we'll definitely have you back on one of our platforms. We have several talk platforms, talk show platforms, and we will definitely have you back. We'll do anything we can to support you. Just let us know.
Okay, hopefully when I come back, I'll be officially Mrs. County Commissioner at Large.
All right, all right.
That's right.
That's
I want a picture. I want a picture of you in your new chair.
Yes,
thank you.
that would be nice.
Most
Yes.
definitely.
Holding you to it.
Thank you. I'll make sure you get it. I don't have a problem with that.
All right.
I'll probably take
Hey,
a
guys,
picture
thank
of it before I get to officially sit in it.
Make sure it looks better than all the rest of theirs.
Okay.
Right, right.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what we're going to do also, like I said, we're going to have you back. Maybe, perhaps, it's up to you. Before your campaign, look close to the campaign, and then right after you win. All right, let's do that.
Sounds good to me.
Let's do that. Let me put your information up real quick. Okay, let's see here. Let's put your information up real quick. And it's been an absolute pleasure. I want to thank you too, Tanisha, for coming on with her. So let's do this. I have your information here. Let's do that. So we're certainly proud of you. You're doing a great job. I have one last question. Is this your goal to do this? And do you have visions of higher goal? Do you have any higher goals besides this one? Like maybe
I do, but I'm gonna start low first. I don't want to say what they are, but I'm gonna start working with my county first. But yeah, I would like to go a step.
Awesome.
Maybe.
Yeah, like Congress or
maybe,
Senate,
yeah, something like that, maybe. We'll see how this goes.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
That's right. That's right.
You gotta keep hope alive.
Right. Right.
Okay. And we have your information up right now. Miltrine Brody Newell, campaign 2026.com. Miltrine Brody Newell, campaign 2026.com. Ladies, thank you so much for your coming on. We really appreciate you, and enjoy your Sunday. And ladies and gentlemen, you want to hear some great music?
Watch out for the sharks.
All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Enjoy your Sunday.
Thank you.
See ya.
Excellent.